Good evening, pinball friends. As promised a couple of weeks ago, here's my update on how I'm getting along with a generic translite LED display. So just to explain what I've got here, I've got a piece of foam board with a string of 50 LEDs on it, which I've measured out and stuck on at regular intervals. And that's connected up to basically an Arduino. This is one of the Arduinos that's got Wi-Fi capabilities in it, and the thing on the right hand side is just the power supply, and then wires just connecting the Arduino through to my light board. So the idea of this light board is that you'll get a translite, of which I've got one here. Let's just bob this on. So, the idea is your lights go behind your translite, something like that. And what I'm going to do now is switch the thing on. Let's see what happens. I'm just going to switch the lights off in the room. So, we started in a pattern, just fading up, white. Now we're moving on to a different pattern. Just like a snowflake pattern. Now I've got a lightning pattern. And then various other patterns. So the colours, the speeds, the type of pattern you want to pick are all user customizable. So rather than being hard coded, you can actually change these on the fly. You can change the settings, save them away into the system, so that once you've got a set of patterns that you like, you can keep that, and every time you switch your display on, it will display those patterns. So just let it whiz through a few more. And again, the lightning effect. Okay, I'm going to switch that off now and put the lights back on. So I'll just switch this. Actually, I'm not going to switch it off. I'm going to keep it on. I'll show you on hopefully on my computer screen if it shows up. It's probably not the way to do this. Let's see if we can just get in there. So I'm hitting a web page here. I don't know if you can see up at the top, something called indiana.local. That's the name that I've given this little device. So you can change the name. So I should have probably called it Ghostbusters actually, not Indiana, for Indiana Jones. But you can see here's a configuration page. So I've got a choice of different patterns that I can pick. So single colour, confetti, lightning, various other things. I've not implemented all of these yet. How many seconds you want it to run for, how quickly it's going to run, starting colour, and then how those colours change. So is it going to increment in ones very gradually, or in bigger chunks like 3s, 16s? And you can change the saturation and brightness, and you can say how quickly each of those things happens. And you can see down here we can save the configuration. We can update it. We can change the overall master brightness of the display. So 64 seems okay for me. 256 is a bit bright, or 255 should I say. 16 is a bit dim, but it's down to personal choice. So that's how you configure everything. The other thing to mention is that this device, you connect it using your mobile phone to your home Wi-Fi network, and that's how I can now then access it either from my phone or, as you can see here, from my laptop. And that's basically as far as I've got. Anybody interested in trialling one of these out, then I'll be happy to provide them. Probably, if we just go back to looking at the display, just move my Ghostbusters out of the way. The board that I've chosen to use here is actually an A2 size piece of foam board. I'll just switch it off for a minute. Slightly smaller than your sort of standard Stern translite, but it seems to do the trick. You could make one actual size. It's a bit of a pain gluing on the LEDs, although you can cheat, as you can see I've done here, and sellotape them on. I did glue most of them on, but I then found a problem with one of them and had to actually replace one of the individual LEDs, so I've just sellotaped that down. So there's various ways you could do that. So what am I going to be supplying if anybody's interested? Well, I'll provide the obviously the Arduino with all the software. I'll provide you with a 50 LED strip that's fully tested and working. You've got to be careful with these when you buy them off eBay or Amazon or whatever. Quite frequently when they turn up they don't work, or one of the LEDs is blown halfway along the string. So buyer beware, but I'll fully test those for you. I'll build the system and configure it. I can give you some sort of power supply, power regulator. This all generally works off 5 volts. So I've got various options where I can give you some sort of power regulator. If you actually want a plug-in power supply, I can probably supply that as well. I think to keep costs down, it does take a while to mark out and lay all your LEDs out. So that's something that I'd want people to do for themselves. And obviously building these things and then wrapping them and posting them, it's just going to get expensive. So I may as well just supply you with the LED string, and then you can make those boards up yourselves. Okay, that's it. Hope this is of interest to people. Thanks, bye for now.